And thank you, everybody. Sorry, I just got an error message on my Facebook thing. I'll try it again. Anyway, thank you for joining us on another excursion down the stream of consciousness towards the river of love and onwards towards the lake of tranquility. We'll stick with that one this week.
Yeah,
We'll go with that one this week. I don't know.
You
One of
did
these days, I'm just gonna make a real intro, and I won't actually have to deal with this. But not
it.
today.
We should get the intern on
Yeah. I should get the executive secretary on that.
that.
Just, just saying. So, what do we have on tap for today? It's going to be the second half of the show should be pretty interesting, but the first half of the show we're going to talk about winning.
Winning. What does that mean?
Well, I was watching back in the day, not too long ago actually. I was a sports fan. I used to like baseball, football, and all that kind of stuff. And the other day, I was watching a mini documentary, I guess, about 40-minute documentary on Fernando Mania. Back in 1981, Fernando Valenzuela, who was a rookie pitcher for the Dodgers, and he kind of just exploded onto the scene, which happens in sports. But he literally came from a town of nowhere. That today, the town is now big. It has 250 people.
Oh my gosh.
And he had a dirt floor, kind of mud walls, like 10 older brothers. He was like the youngest one. But at 15 years old, 16 years old, he'd signed a professional contract and was pitching for the Mexican League, in the Mexican League. And at 19, 20 years old, he's pitching in the major leagues. And at that stage, you've won life. No matter what happens in his life, no matter the fact that he wins Rookie of the Year, the fact that he's got a World Series rings and he's Hall of Famer and all that other stuff, that's cherry on top. When you start from nothing and you make it, and I think that's what he said. It says when he first stepped into the American League, not even the major leagues, his first minor league American assignment, he felt he had won life's lottery. He's living a life that he literally couldn't even dream of a year before. And so it had me thinking, how many of us have lives that with a different perspective, we would actually be winning at life. But because we have a perspective that's set by type A personalities, we have a perspective that's set by other people instead of our own judgments. Not many of us don't feel that we've won in life. I wouldn't necessarily feel that we've lost in life, but we feel like we're always chasing. You're always running on the wheel. But we never stop and look and see, where have we already won?
Yes.
And it also how it applies to your relationships, not just to your relationships outside your work relationships. What is winning at work, what is winning in business, or what is winning in your relationship.
In your personal relationships, yes.
Like when you have a disagreement. We've been watching a lot of comedy, and I suppose there is something there we can talk about later. But we like to talk a lot of comedy, and comedies talk about their lives, and it's always tough with comedians, right? Because how much are they putting on to their, there's a grain of truth in their conversations, but it's comedy, and you have to kind of exaggerate things a little bit. You exaggerate the emotions, and so it's hard. But comedy has its uses. You get to examine something in a way that you don't normally get to examine, and so that's kind of a use of comedy. But it seems like in a lot of these comedians' relationships, one person or the other is trying to win an argument. But How do you define winning in a relationship? What actually is winning? We never ever define winning. Sure, we want to win the Super Bowl. Great. That's an easy thing to define. You're a football team, you have a clear, decisive goal. You want to win the Super Bowl. But only one team can realistically win the Super Bowl. And what if you're the team that was 1-15 last year? You don't have the players to win the Super Bowl. What is winning for your season? If you're a politician, you're completely unknown, you have no money, you're running against an incumbent, known politician who's got oodles of money and is too smart to completely fall asleep. You can't win. You cannot win actually the race. So how do you define winning? You're gonna pick anything in life. You're running a business. How do you define winning in a business? If you own a business, is it continued ever-ending growth? Is it you get to a stage where you can hand it off to somebody else and let somebody else do all the work, and you kind of just take the responsibility and what is winning? How do we define that? And that's the question. Because a type A personality will have a vastly different view of winning than I will. A type A personality will see their position in life, whether that position is life is scored by money in a bank account, or whether that position in life is scored by how high they've gone up on the hierarchy trail, whether they've made vice president of the United States or the state senator or however they judge whatever title they got, their title.
The executive.
Yeah. But they all judge themselves how many letters they have after that, how many PhDs they have, all those.
Academia, yes.
Yeah. So, we all know the type A's, they let you know how they judge their winnings. It's clear. But what about for the rest of us? How do we define winning? The proverbial house with the white picket fence and the 2.4 kids.
That was mine for my young adulthood, yes.
So was that winning?
I had it all, yes.
Now, of course, life, in the back step, you won in life. Of course, you get there with the microscope and you start examining it. It was kind of a bumpy ride, but that's the point. At what level?
Well, yeah, it didn't work out.
But at what level? But did it work out now?
Is it working out now?
Yes. How are your children? Are your children the type of human beings you're proud of?
Very much so.
Are you living the type of life you would reasonably like to live right now?
Yes.
So are you winning at life?
Am I winning at life?
Yeah.
I'm doing better than I did yesterday.
But see, that's the question. See, I'd say we are. Now, doesn't mean we don't have challenges. Doesn't mean we don't have fault. Doesn't mean that, the clock is still ticking and we still got time to play. We can still screw this one up and you can still fumble whatever analogy you want to make. But
oh God, I don't see that happening. Now that's a new worry.
Well, it better be a worry. That's what you're worrying about it at least a little bit, is how you keep it from happening. If you don't worry about it at all, and trust me, but you don't worry about it in grand scope. You worry about it in detail. You're just a different type of worrier. I worry the grand scope of thing. You worry the detail. So it's actually kind of why it works. You don't worry about the same stuff.
I worry about spending enough time with you.
How could we spend more?
I cut out and I make sure that I have, there's time when we smoke. You have my full attention, but I want to make sure you have your time during the day.
Well, see, in a relationship aspect, I think we're winning. I think I look back and I see my children are doing reasonably well. They're good human beings. They're all raising their children. They're doing a better job than I was doing at that age for the most part. If I were to be a judge, they're all doing a better job at raising their children than I would have been at that same stage. And so, from a relationship aspect, I'm clearly winning. Now, from a professional aspect, got to figure out how to make this type of thing work. I've got to transition, right? I was a gig worker, and now I'm trying to be I don't even know what the hell to call this thing that we're trying to do.
Media.
Trying to make myself into a media mogul of sorts, I guess. But again, I've got too many oars. But that's the way life works now. You're either an employee or you're your own thing. I don't want to be somebody else's employee, so I'll be my own thing if I can. But so that goes back to how do you define winning? How do we define winning for ourselves? How do we define winning for our children? It's not an easy question.
No, it's not.
And we often judge ourselves for not being successful, for not winning, without actually sitting to take the time to decide what that means.
Yes, on a deeper level.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, so many of us, we do. We look at the simple scorecards. Am I winning? Well, do I have a lot of money in the bank? Yes. Well, then I'm winning. Are you happy? Well, no. Well, then you're not really winning,
You're
are
not
you?
really winning.
Okay. Anyway, but speaking of winning, we've been watching a lot of comedy, and it got me thinking. There's a lot of male comedians and female comedians too that have discussions about domestic violence on men, and we don't take it seriously. We could never make those jokes about domestic violence the other way around.
Oh, really? You've noticed that?
Abusive, controlling behavior, physical abuse, and it's brushed aside. It's okay. And it's interesting because comedy is where we can usually take something like that and actually examine it.
Yes.
And comedians, they're actually talking about it, but we ignore it. More and more comedians, even female comedians, are sitting there admitting, and they're not happy about themselves. So at least they've got that. They're examining themselves, that they're not happy about themselves, that they're kind of abusive towards not physically abusive, they're at least the ones who talk about it. They're kind of emotionally abusive to their spouses, to their partners, to their they acknowledge it, but as they're working through it. So you've got to give them credit for that. But the complexity of domestic abuse is something that we simplified it for a long time, and for good reason. I'm not complaining that we simplified it. We had a damn good reason to simplify it, because I think in the past there was a difference than we are now. So I think culturally, and I think our focus on the simplistic male on female physical violence was needed, and it was needed for a long time. And so there's not a complaint. But I think as culturally, we've reached a point now, and there's studies to back this up, where when you take domestic abuse in all its forms, it's actually committed about equally. Men cause more physical harm, women cause more psychological harm, is kind of what the studies imply. I mean, it's still hard. It's a difficult thing to study. And I think part of the reason it causes more psychological harm is because men don't have any resources. We have nowhere to turn. Women have places to go. You've got resources all over the place. It's not a pretty thing, but you have shelters. You have units specifically designed in the courthouses and designed to help you. Maybe they're not effective, but at least you have a system. Right? There's some sense of support system for you. Men have nothing. We can't even talk about it. Even in comedy, we kind of joke about it. And let it pass on. And it's nobody's fault. This is one of these things people ought to say, it wasn't that long ago where we were still living in mud huts. Complex civilization is fundamentally only 4,000 years old. The human animals, like human species in terms of societies, is like 100,000 years old. Massive complex societies go back to what? Ancient Egypt? Maybe a little earlier. These and societies above subsistence level, societies that live significantly above subsistence level, where we can have huge chunks of our populace not working on producing food.
Yes.
I mean, we actually need a tiny sliver of our population working on food. That has literally never happened in the course of human history. For the most of human history, 99.9% of human history, almost everybody was working on basic needs. Just getting fed and clothed so you don't die over the winter was your daily task. That's what your life was filled with. That eased up some with farming, but only if you were in an area that was farming. If you were in an area that still has hunting and gathering, it didn't change. If you lived in the winter area, you still had to go hunt your meat because meat was the only thing that really stored well over the winter. And now we've got air conditioning, heat, time, light, computing power, stored knowledge. And we have the time to sit back and look, hey, this behavior that developed for whatever reason is really kind of crappy. We need to figure out how to stop it. But it's going to take some time. And, talk about taking some time. I've got a friend's book here. And I was talking to her this week, but we didn't get a chance to schedule anything. I don't know how to pronounce her last name. Chase Tkach? Tkach? Sexual Liberty. It reminds me that she wrote a book, Sexual Liberty. Amazon's like $9. Check it out. We'll get her on someday. But we've been trying to regulate human sexuality since the beginning of human history. It hasn't worked. These things are going to take time, and you have to do it in the right way. Otherwise, you just end up screwing stuff up. And we don't separate the predator from people in crisis very well when you talk about domestic violence. And there is a difference. There's a difference between people who are emotionally immature, don't know how to control their emotions, and they're in their young 20s, and they've just never been taught, and a predator who you just need to get people away of and lock them fools up. That's because they're violent predators. The question is, how do we know the difference? I don't know. There's no good answer. So we end up with bad answers. We end up with bad answers and comedians making jokes about their lives, their friends' lives. And you just realize that we haven't really come as far as we thought we have. We came far. And
we're still having growing pains.
Yeah. Well, and so many people expect perfection. It's like, well, we have failed. Society is, pick your system. Socialism has failed. Capitalism has failed. Well, if you think it's going to bring up some utopia, you damn straight it's going to fail. You're setting up a situation where you think it's going to solve all of life's problems. Sorry, it's just not. Life doesn't work that way. Life doesn't get instant replay. Life doesn't have the great referee sitting in there sorting stuff out. It's messy. It's ugly. It's you're gonna make mistakes and you have to clean them up. And we're all just kind of trying to do the best we can, bumbling around into other human beings, trying to do the best they can. And then the older we get, the more broken, the more battle scarred, the more cynical, the more all the various things that happen. And, we end up with more broken people banging into more broken people. And it's not it can become a strange business, I guess.
Life is funny.
Yeah. You get strange, broken people bouncing into other strange, broken people, and then you try to have a relationship. It's amazing any of it ever works.
God's wonder, any two people get together.
No. I understand why we get together. We're biology. We're built for it. So wonder it ever works long term. That's anything works past, say, 6 weeks is the miracle. Getting together. Hey, no. Nature took care of that. We'll make sure we get together, hormones and desires and all kinds of base things to get us together. The trick was keeping our asses together is the trick. How do we do that? After, basic needs are taken care of. Well, I need this moron to feed me and protect me. And so, I'm going to feed and take care of them. Most of humanity was kind of that way. But at the same time, not. It's an interesting thing about history. We, as most of us know, we know the history of the rich, the powerful, government, but we don't actually know much history of the average person. But every time we find a historical look into the average person, be it in ancient Egypt, which we actually have some scripture from ancient Egypt from the workers. Just average.
The workers writing letters to each other.
Yeah, just average workers writing letters home and letters to each other. You've got the people asking questions, doing the Dear Lubby letters to the Oracle of Delphi, so the Dear Oracle letters. There, we have some of those still from a couple 1,000 years ago, 1,500 years, and they're all dealing with the same problems we're dealing with today. The same human problems. The technology is different, but the same base average. The average human being is still struggling with the same problems. What is winning? How do I get through life? How do I get my children to have a better life than I have? How do I? It's the same questions.
Why do you treat me this way? You treat your donkey better than you treat me. I remember one of those letters. Yeah.
Yeah. Or why does he let his wife keeps running around on him, and we keep telling him, but he doesn't do anything. Yeah, there was one of those in the Egyptian letters.
I say.
Yeah, there's nothing new. Nothing new under the sun. And that's what's funny. Because we've progressed a lot. We really have. But the details of around that are still just vastly similar. The humanity, how far back our base humanity goes. Not how that base humanity manifests itself has changed. But that base humanity, once we gather in groups, mass groups, like ancient Greece, they used to not cook. They always ate fast food. Well, not always, but the rank and file person.
Yes.
Yeah, they ate fast food. Well, because you live on the 6th floor of a building, which you have 5, 6-floor apartment buildings, little dinky apartment. How are you going to cook up in there? And it was insanely dangerous to cook up in your apartment, and so you couldn't. So you cooked. So they have a store down at the bottom floor where you go buy your sandwiches. It's like the Subway and so even freaking Subway and Starbucks ain't a new idea. It's been done since ancient Greece.
Be the masses.
Or what were we talking about? Gold, frankincense, and myrrh. Right?
Yes.
Yeah. It's money. perfume and incense.
Yes.
Yeah. So when people talk about crass consumerism and Christmas, well, guess what? It was money and luxury goods from the very first one. So had that crass consumerism. I'm not sure that that argument actually holds much water. Now you can personally not like it, and that's fine. But I mean, considering the baby Jesus's first gifts was cash and luxury goods, I'm not entirely sure that that we can complain about spending money and stuff on Christmas. I mean, you could think it's not a great idea, you know. Hey, it's not the gift, it's the thought, and so that's true and all very nice. But when people complain about the crass consumerism, I'm going, that's not really a valid argument. You can personally find it by complaining about others. You kind of violated the Christmas spirit there because they gave them money and luxury items. Here's some cash. Here's some luxury goods to make you feel better. Sorry.
And we give those today. We give perfume,
Mm-hmm.
smelly stuff.
Perfumes, candles.
Yes.
Perfumes, candles, and cash. Well, it's luxury goods. Those are luxury goods of the time. Gold was cash, always is, always has been, and perfumes and incense were.
Well, incense was a luxury item. Yes.
Yeah, they were those both luxury, all luxury items. Expensive. You can't get those things.
Yeah,
Even
they're
perfumes.
special.
Yeah, special and expensive. All right, we are going to take our short break. Oh wait, we actually have some comments. Hey, Cliff, we will get back to your comments on the second half of the show. We are going to take a quick break. We've got to gather some resources that we forgot to gather. We will be back here in like 5 minutes. Okay, I think we're back. We had a couple comments here on, so we'll catch those. Let's see. Cliff Jordan, happiness is the goal, winning is defined by the individual. In a relationship, you hope would be mutual.
Yes.
Yeah, the point of winning in a relationship is if you're winning, you're doing it wrong. As an individual, if you're winning, you're doing it wrong. And I mean, as a couple, you're doing it wrong.
If you're doing it as a couple, it's called winning.
Yes, that's winning. If you're doing it as an individual, if you're keeping score, if you think you're winning.
Oh God.
If you're trying to win a fight, win an argument, then you're doing it wrong. You're not trying to win an argument. You're trying to solve problems.
Yes. Everybody should come out the winner.
Well, at least no one should come out a loser.
Loser. Yes.
Yeah, because you might not come out a winner. No one should come out a loser. Because why would you want your person you love to lose? Now I get it. You don't want to lose either, because you don't. But that's why you have to compromise. You love them. Why wouldn't you compromise? Now, sometimes some compromises are harder than others, and that's where you kind of hope you don't have the same tough compromise in the same spot.
Yeah.
That's hopefully your compromise is kind of match. But anyway, voluntary society is more desired society. Consent is a basic human construct. Cliff Jordan must be a fellow liberty lover. Voluntary society is the key right there. So we know.
Voluntary society. Yes.
Yeah, that's a clue. That's a clue from our tribe. That's a phrase from our tribe. Yeah, our political tribe. That's just yeah. There's some phrases that political tribes use. That's what I want you to know who they are. Nothing wrong with it. Thank you for joining.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah. Well,
happy to have you.
Yeah. Speaking of our tribal, if you guys would like to help us out, you can go to anchor.m/late night love, and they do have a donate and subscribe button. And they've actually added some things this week, so we're gonna go and take advantage of those, but we haven't done it yet. You can always find back episodes and everything of us at latenightLove.us. You can find me on Twitter at Jazzrack, and you can always send us a Dear Lovey letter, which we love to read.
We certainly do.
At love@latenightLove.us. You can label those Dear Lovey, and if you send it to the complaint department, you can send it to me, and we'll always deal with those.
Yes, we will.
One way or another. There's complaint department. We don't have much of a complaint department. What are we talking
We'll
about?
put our best people on it.
Yeah, we'll get that intern that we don't pay.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what we'll do. All right. So, what did we have to finish up the show here tonight?
6 gestures that show a man is in love with you, and 6 signs that show he's using you. We're going to do a review here.
The Lubby's got an article.
Yes.
All right. So, this is written by Alex Mills out of what? The New? 10 News? 60s.com. Anyway, just 6 gestures that show a man is in love with you, and you'll find it on.
You'll find it.
Yeah, it'll pop up. You guys know how to use the internet. We don't have to tell you that. Okay. Oh wait, I still got that one banner up. Hold on. Let me take that down. Somehow I missed it. Okay. So what do we got here? Our first one.
He looked at you all the time. When men are falling in love with you, they will have a special look in their eyes. I think everybody does, but I don't think this is. Does he give you special looks? I mean.
Well, as someone with an anxiety disorder, that doesn't tell you jack squat.
I was going to say, not everyone can be held to this standard.
Yeah.
You gave me special looks. I knew they were glances, but you had feeling in your eyes.
No, I'm just saying. You know me. These simplistic, anything that's overly simplistic, my alarm bells start banging off. And sometimes it's me just overthinking, and it is what it is. It's a habit of mine. But so I just become leery of overly simplistic things like that. Okay.
Okay. The sign that he is using you are not special in his eyes. The easiest sign that you can realize you're not special to him is when he constantly compares you with other people. Oh my gosh. He always points out the good things in other people and that you do not have. Why would you want to be around somebody who made you feel like that? Who did that too?
Well, because you don't, because that's how you already feel, and so they're reinforcing how you already feel. And so psychologically, that's what happens. It's not. I'm not saying that it's not a conscious choice. It's just psychologically, they're reinforcing how you already feel, and then they're nice to you sometimes. So
Yes, but why? But why? I've been in some abusive situations before, and it comes. I had to make a decision. Do I want to continue to be treated like this? I kept hoping they would change, and they didn't.
yes, but ultimately, it was you that has to change.
Yes, I had to change.
Yeah, because they have no need to change. Why would they? They have life is working, theoretically working for them.
Well, they
They
don't have me anymore.
well, yeah, because now you've changed, so life wasn't working for them anymore. They didn't want you anymore anyway. You now became a problem. You becoming an independent thinking person is now a problem in their life that they have to deal with, and they don't want you anymore. Which is a good thing for you because now you get to walk away and y'all get to both be happier. They get to go be miserable in their life, and you get to go be happy in yours. Works out for both of you. And everybody gets what they want. Now, frankly, there's a sad life to live. At some point, the rooster will come home. Yeah, but maybe not. Some people die that way. They die happy in their misery. I don't get it, but it happens. Happens all the time.
You would think that the carnage of your wreckage of your past would kind of.
You're not self-reflective enough to notice the wreckage of your past.
Oh, really?
It's the only way I think you could get through it. How else can you get through that unless you're just not self-reflective enough to see what the damage you have done to other people because you never got past yourself? Yeah, it's talking a little deep. So, what do we got next?
He loves you, doesn't freak out even when you expect him to. Everyone has at least one dark secret or something from the past that they do not want to talk. They do not want to talk to or not very proud of. But instead of freaking out, he's still with you, embraces you in his arms, and he's probably more into you than you think. Well, yeah, being completely accepted
Yeah.
is a good sign that he's into you. Yeah.
Well, and actually, even freaking out isn't necessarily a problem. It's how do you deal with the freaking out? Because hey, man, you might freak somebody out at first, give them some time to think about it and contemplate it and sit with it for a minute and say, all right, and you know what, I just freaked out. Sorry, there is that depending upon what it is. There are things that you might freak somebody out over, and you just might take some time for them to may not even take a lot of time. Maybe only take a couple minutes.
No, the only one I can really relate to is I had a toy, and this person I was dating found out about it and didn't want to date me anymore.
Well, it's called self-selection.
Was so threatened by it for
Yeah.
some reason.
Well, it's called self. That's called self-selection. Didn't waste any more time with that one.
That
Yeah, that's called good signs.
you're not secure enough to handle that. Oh my goodness.
Well, again, it may be that they just don't have the experience with it to know. It's completely foreign, completely taboo. They've never heard about it. He doesn't know that his mother has one, and so it's just something he wasn't prepared for. And the later in life you come across that, the bigger shock it is, and the less flexible you are in coping with it. So it's psychologically it's understandable, but on your level, I don't got time to deal with that. Go find somebody else. Go find somebody who likes a missionary position and that's all they want to do. And you guys can go be happy together. What's wrong with that? It's it's again, it's just a it's part of the selection process. You're finding out, no, you're not, you know. A lot of people get judgy on those kind of things. I don't get judgy. It just means you weren't meant for each other.
Right.
I don't think there's no reason to judge somebody because they're uncomfortable with someone who uses a toy. Okay, fine. That just means you're not for me. Yeah, that's all.
I was shocked that he was so unenlightened. I didn't respond very well.
See, like I said, but you guys clearly weren't all that into each other.
No.
No, see, so that's good. Proves the point right there. Makes you feel guilty constantly.
If he's using you, he makes you feel guilty. A mature person will try to help you become a better person or sympathize with you when you meet obstacles in your life, rather than make you feel like you're never good enough to do a better thing. Well, here again, feeling supported. Yes.
Well, anybody who deliberately makes you feel guilty is manipulating you, and you have a problem to deal with. Accidentally making you feel guilty in a time of emotional period, right? That happens. It's a human thing. It kind of you excuse that. Well, you don't necessarily excuse it, but you expect it. You know what I mean. But if someone is deliberately making you feel guilty, well, constantly or not, that's a manipulative behavior. If you're deliberately trying to make someone feel guilty, not if you accidentally make somebody feel guilty. That's a completely different thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, but if you're deliberately trying to make someone feel guilty, why would you do that?
You're distancing that person from you.
Yeah. Well, even accidentally, but I mean, let's think about what we're trying to do. What are you actually trying to accomplish when you're trying to make someone feel guilty over something? If you're deliberately trying to make someone feel guilty,
Good heavens.
You may think you've got a valid reason for it, but you're actually manipulating someone's emotion to facilitate a response that's favorable to you. Doesn't quite seem as noble when expressed that way, does it? But I just want him to understand how I'm feeling. Okay, it's understandable. That's an understandable thing. But you're going to emotionally manipulate someone to elicit an emotional response that's favorable to you. Well, no, I just wanted to understand. So you can get because it's actually kind of the same thing. I want someone to understand how I'm feeling. Okay. But if you're using emotional manipulation to do that, you've kind of gone off the rails in terms of what you're allowing yourself to do to accomplish your goal. The goal is valid. You're not saying the goal isn't valid. It's okay, but are you going to invalidate your goal because the methods you use are immoral, unethical, damaging? Pick your.
Yeah, it's damaging.
And it's damaging to you too, because now you've just justified to yourself that manipulating other people is good. And you've convinced yourself. And once you convince yourself once,
slippery slope.
And if it happens to be successful,
oh, good heavens.
Oh, well, it worked. At what cost? You won't see the long-term cost until later. And you may not even see it at all. You may not recognize it as that cost.
I see.
So anyway, that's why emotional manipulation is not good. Someone isn't understanding, then find a way to get them to understand or move on. If they love you, they'll try to understand. And if you try to understand, then you'll either get there or you'll get to a point where, look, we can't understand. I can't understand, but I can accept.
Yes.
And, if that's not good enough, then that's not good enough.
I don't understand a plethora of things about you, but I accept them.
Well, let's call it disorder. If it made sense, it wouldn't be called a disorder. That's that's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
Okay, another sign that he loves you. He knows how his behavior can affect you. A person who loves you will feel fear to make you sad and be careful with every word and behavior for you.
This is true.
Well, sometimes people have a bad day.
Yeah. Well, again, they're being overly simplistic, so I'm desimplifying their meaning in my head as we go along. So, because otherwise I would have been nitpicking this whole thing to pieces, and we'd be having a completely different discussion. And I'm not in that mood, so I don't want to be negative Nelly tonight. So I'm gonna take it from which the intent of which it was given, and understanding that she has to simplify based upon the format, and give her the benefit of the doubt.
All right.
I'm sorry. I should have said I made that decision when I first started to complain. I realized I didn't want to just spend this whole thing complaining that she was being overly simplistic.
Well, you stated it once.
Yeah, and I understand the nature. I understand why. It's just the nature of the format, and it's she's stuck in the format which she's stuck in. We have an hour or however long I feel like yammering on to talk about it. It's a different format, and so right. We've got more freedom. So. So he knows how his love can affect you. Everybody does. I'm assuming you do.
What?
You know how your moods and your behaviors and reactions can affect me. It's not just. I know this is written from a woman's perspective, but these things work both ways.
I try to be mindful of how I treat you how I want to be treated. I try to be mindful of my moods, how they would affect you. Yes. And I also I think, how can I make you feel more comfortable? I keep in mind things that you've told me. How, like, when I talk to you, putting my hands on my head, it triggers something in you. It took me forever.
But sometimes what's odd is sometimes these things crash into each other in strange, mysterious ways. Like just this week, last week, where it was the movie thing. For whatever reason, you wanted to go to sleep to movies.
Action.
To action movies. And for me, they're violence and gore, and I don't like going to sleep to violence and gore. And so All right, fine. I'll just go off and do things until you fall asleep and the movie ends, and then I'll go to bed later.
God, that made me feel so bad. I had no idea I was doing that. I thought you were gone.
Yeah,
And I didn't know you were coming back.
but what's the funny thing is, we were both trying to be kind to each other.
Yes, yes.
We both
you were trying to let me watch what I wanted to watch.
I was trying to let you watch and go to sleep to whatever for whatever reason. I don't understand why you want to go to bed to blood and gore and destruction. But hey, teach their own.
Goodfellas is on tonight.
So teach their own. But I don't like going to bed with that kind of thing because it triggers I don't know. I don't remember my dreams, but I think it triggers my dreams. But I can't. I don't know. It's one of those things. I don't actually know because I don't remember my dreams.
Yeah, but I think I asked you, how come you haven't been sleeping? And you because you've been having those violent movies on. And I'm like, oh my God. So now I check with you, is Star Trek okay? Is Star Wars, is that too violent?
But see, I don't want you to have to walk on eggshells to pick a movie.
I am not strict on walking on eggshells.
See, I want you should be able to watch a movie and go to sleep, especially just, a lot of times our schedules are different, and so it doesn't really matter what you're watching because by the time I go to bed, it's freaking over and it's stopped and you're snoring, and so I just lay down and go to bed, or I'll flip on. Put on Red Green or whatever it is.
If I really feel the need to watch Goodfellas, I'll come in and tell you, are you going to be free for the next 2 hours? Are you going to be in here, or do you want to come and go to sleep? Please change the movie. I need to watch some blood and guts and gore.
See, that's what we're just... See, I don't like watching blood and guts and gore, and you try to watch it. And so I try to let you watch. I don't want to stop you from watching your things just because, I don't like to go to sleep to those things.
And you haven't been feeling good. You had the vaccination.
Yeah, but that was actually before the vaccination.
It was before. Oh, that's right.
But anyway, it was just strange. It's how we kind of did the exact opposite of that. We both kind of exactly did that just this week. But it manifests itself when you kind of cross roads and crash into each other kind of in a strange way. And then, next thing you know, we're both kind of feeling bad because we're both, I don't want you walking on eggshells, and we're kind of being, rather than we're not doing what we do, we should have just said something. We eventually did.
We got there.
Like we said, it's not always a straight road, man. Enjoy the journey,
Okay, another clue. He's using you as he disappears on you. Everyone has personal issues sometimes that force them to change their plan at the last minute. However, he bails out at the last minute and takes them ages to respond to your texts or phone calls. He might not value as much as you think. Well, my first question is, are you married?
Well, we got a lot of these to get through. We got like 10 minutes. Okay. Sometimes taking response that's a personal thing. Some people just take a long time to respond to texts. They're not married to their phone, and so they just take a long time. That's not, but yeah, if they're just kind of disappearing, not around to help.
I had a come here, go away relationship. It would get real intense and it was wonderful. And then he'd disappear. He'd drop off the face of the earth. And then for, like a week at a time. And then he'd just show up again. Hey, doll, how you doing? And you're just so happy to see him. I let this go on for too long.
Was it a traveling man? What the hell? Traveling salesman? What the heck was that?
No, he was dating a lot of people.
Well, you see, that's what I meant by traveling man.
Oh, okay.
Loves you. He notices small details make you happy.
Oh, heavens, yes.
Oh, yeah, we just ran off for 20 minutes talking about that, so we will skip that one. Uses you. Never tries to compromise.
Never try. Relationships are all about compromise, man. If you won't compromise, it's all one-sided. You got to wonder if you're with a narcissist.
You get maybe 3 things where you get to dig your heels in, right? Maybe 3. Right? A couple, 3 things where you get to be kind of everything else. If you're not willing to compromise, and then you've got problems. And you damn well better have reasons.
Better have reasons. Yeah.
I've got medical reasons. I've got history trauma reasons. There's goddamn well better be some fucking reasons. Yeah. Because there are some reasons where I can't compromise on this, and here's why. And if that's a deal breaker, then it's a deal breaker. We all move on. Thank you for your time, and it was fun. No hard feelings. It's almost business-like, but and in a relationship, you almost have to be business-like. Otherwise, it gets messy. Anyway.
Okay, signs that he loves you. He shares everything with you, and he expects you to do the same.
Again, overly simplistic. From what she probably means, okay. All the big moments.
Yeah.
The exciting moments. Hey, I just, I get it. I just got a promotion. I just got this big contract. Hey, my long lost son just called me. It's freaking great, and he wants to share it with you.
My sister had a baby.
Yeah, whatever it is, and he's excited and he wants to share them with you. Yeah, okay. Yeah, okay. No, fine. Yeah, I just went down and played basketball with the guys, and we won our game 11-10. I don't think if he doesn't share that with you, you should be feeling anything. Because to a guy, it's just normal course of behavior. It's nothing to share.
We share every detail of our day with you.
Yes, we know. We don't understand why.
So you know.
Don't need to know that Jessica was talking about Monica and her boyfriend was out seen last night with Jane's ex-boyfriend's Bob's new girlfriend. I don't need to know. I don't know any of these people. And I don't care. I'm just saying. That's the kind of stuff you tell us about. And then you ask, and we're supposed to remember.
Yeah, but you guys like gossip, but you don't give any.
No, we don't like gossip. We pretend. We're that good. Uses you, emotionally manipulates you.
We went into that. Loves you. He's ready to talk through problems. There is a big one.
Yeah, well, we actually talked about that. The point is not winning an argument; it's solving problems.
I remember you told me we had just started dating, and you called your mother. You told me about a conversation with your mother. You said we had a disagreement. We sat down and we talked about it. It was
wonderful. Hey, man. Some things seem small are larger than we think. Anybody who deliberately provokes your buttons, this last one, uses you, provokes you to make public scenes or stays
silent
for days. Yeah, anything that's emotional, that's manipulative. Anything when you get to the point where you've justified manipulation.
Yes.
Manipulating people is wrong. Talking to them, conversing with them, wanting to learn and grow and evolve with them is great. Manipulating them so they become something you want them to be, it's not right. What you should want is you want them to be the best them they are, because that's what you fell in love with. If you fell in love with something different, what did you really fall in love with? The idea of love, the idea of long-term relationships are to win. But winning is contentment, satisfaction, happiness.
Absolute contentment.
And happiness isn't short term. Happiness isn't a moment. Happiness is when you look back at your relationship, when you take stock in your life, and you go, you know what? Pretty good, all right. Yeah, sure. Nothing's perfect. But in the grand scheme of things, life's pretty good. You can say that. Then you've won. And that's all the time we have for tonight. You can check us out at anchor.fm/late night love. You can find us at Facebook/late night love, MeWe, and all the various other social media platforms. You can send Lovey a Dear Lovey letter at love@latenightLove.us. You can find me on Twitter at JazzRack. And from me and Lovey, please remember to love everybody and good night.
Good night.